Hey, my fellow multidimensionals, it's Aisha Love, founder of Multidimensional You. So in this weekly vlog, I asked what is of most service for the most people right now. And absolutely what came through was ancestral line healing. We'll just zoom out a little bit and tie a bunch of threads together is what it feels like. We've been talking for several weeks now about the divine complement and higher level of ascension, physics and relationships. And I realized that for those of you to whom that pertains, it's extremely germane and extremely timely and relevant. And it also provided a little bit of a larger zoom out for those of you not intricately aware of this greater, ascension time frame that we're in, to understand that there are many levels to relationship, and there is a big evolutionary process that's possible, and not just for this lifetime. Think of it as, the soul's expansive exploration and journey as a fractal of source out collecting information and bringing it back, and that individuated experience. So there's something to look forward to, I guess, is what we're really trying to say, and that the pinnacle of relationship, the way that we may have been conditioned to see it from media, etc., on our planet, and just frankly what's available and what's already taken place here, right, in the recent past, the longer past, right, if you want to look at it that way. There are references to these higher levels of relationship. So something really important for those of us being tasked with putting these kinds of relationships together in our own life. But also really nice to know that this is possible for everyone on the planet to know that. Now, in the context, I see the segue that we're going to create here of evolving relationships. In order to evolve a relationship, you have to evolve the units that comprise that relationship, and that would be the individual. So it does circle back to our own, of course, our personal evolution. You can refer to that as a healing journey if you want to. To me, it's an evolution, this exploration. We went into the density, we took on distortion, we've taken on, an incredible amount of density just by the soul incarnating into the human vessel, and what has come down the ancestral lines in terms of unhealed, unresolved trauma, ways of being, ways of coping in this reality. We have so many different dysfunctional, disharmonic ways of being, of coping with the difficulties and rigors of this density, from projecting, right, and blaming and defending, passive aggressive traits, right, can't get our needs met directly, so we go passive aggressive, to codependence. I'm just kind of off the top of my head thinking of some of these major ways that we try to cope that are not terribly constructive or harmonic, full of harmony, right? All the way to using substances to escape, but all of it kind of is, I'm being shown it's got kind of the same quality of, it's a deflection. It's like trying to get it away, get away from it, that sort of thing. And what we're all being tasked with right now is to bring all of that in really close and to love it, because this is all of our wounding. And that wounding has driven us to behave in certain ways that, frankly, at the soul level, we are really interested in alchemizing and evolving. I think this is also a really good time to pull some old threads together. I started this YouTube channel in 2017 after swearing I would never, ever do a YouTube video. Never say never, people. And I really came out of the gate with my galactic aspects, because that's what I was living through at the time. My awakening began with the death of my father in 2008-9, his illness and then departure, went right into interdimensionals and loved ones on the other side, working as a spirit medium. And then it went galactic, and then the galactic aspects started showing me, we share your multidimensional structure. That's why we can communicate so quickly and effectively. And we can do intertech transfer. So we can radically revolutionize and evolve your healing abilities, because our civilization has spent millions of years perfecting this, and we can work through your multidimensional structure to deliver this via the human form. And so I was really excited during that time about revolutionizing what it means to be human and evolving the human race. And I've been passionate about human evolution ever since I was 15, and I thought I was going to be a paleoanthropologist and study the origins of humanity. It all makes sense now. So here we are now, and everything I've gone through with cosmic intrigue and my Love 007 field agent status and what I get up to on that front, which is definitely very rare on the planet. I don't expect most people to relate to that. Essentially what I'm doing is working to restore evolutionary pathways at the larger structures of living creation, but it all does still serve evolution. And then of course I went into a deep dive with my own personal shadow work at an unprecedented level, right? It was like, we're going to get down to the studs. We're going to go down to the foundation. We're going to completely redo the foundation. And that process is still underway. And so this is what wants to be spoken about today in this conversation, this collective conversation that we're all having here. And I'll just take a moment to say, I invite you to join the conversation, right? It's one thing to just kind of listen and contemplate, but I think there's something, they're showing me there's alchemy happening when groups start to get together like this and they have a dialogue. So the more that you share in the comments about what you're going through, it will inform this conversation. And specifically, I'm right in the middle of making good on this inner directive I was given last week to roll out Higher Love Alchemy, these 8 live YouTube sessions. Did the first one yesterday. Wowza. Okay, I did not expect us to start by doing the activation of the monad. Just really quickly what I'll say, and you can watch the recording, couple things. It's a higher tech comprehensive solution rather than trying to work up and out from our human to try to self-liberate. It's invoking a much greater part of our own consciousness to come through down in. It's not even down in, it's hard to describe. It's like out through, but essentially overriding a lot of structures, influences, interferences, disharmonies. It's such a comprehensive level. And this is where the greater intelligence will shine. Because if we're trying to orchestrate and engineer from the human mind, oh my gosh, talk about a lower tech. The programs we were given are it's such old, clunky technology. Those thought forms carry so much fear, so much distortion. And so the really exciting thing is that we're now, I'm watching my body of work have this come into these threads being pulled together and this crossroads and this nexus point of, yes, tap the wonders of the multidimensional self in order to evolve, heal the limitations that this dense human form, and it's not even about the density as much as it is about the distortion, has been plagued with. So this is a good time to talk about this phrase that they brought through in a client session, and then they said, you need to talk about this and make a video. Psycho-spiritual plagues. What the heck is a psycho-spiritual plague? Okay, well, let's give you some context and some examples. So all of you know that certain traits, physical traits, come down family lines. I was just looking at some family photos. There's a guy in the 1850s and his hand and the way he holds his hand is just how my dad held his hand, and it looks like his hand, right? Here we are, you think, wow, 150 years later, or in his case, 100 years, he's born in the 40s, we've got the same phenotype going, right? What we don't understand is that we have the same thing going with certain spiritual, psycho-spiritual, emotional aspects. And it's most important when it comes to the distortion and trauma, because that continues to impede us in our own expansive evolution, right? Now, again, the soul came in for a challenge, right? It's like a rider with a bronking buck. And it's like, how do you ride this animal? This human animal is it's full of fear. How do we tame fear? Through love and reassurance and safety, and a sense of safety. So all this work that we're all doing right now is the healing work of the incredibly traumatized human vehicle that's come down through the family lines that, generations before us, this was not their mandate. It wasn't the right time. But again, bigger story and framework for ascension. Was not the time. It was the time to come in and experience a full-blown course human experience with all of its challenges. Now, many of us are in here doing that as a way to get familiar with the material that we're here to alchemize and then to engage in the alchemy. And that is where this vlog and video lands today, is the nexus point of all of that work and all of that awareness. And so many of us are coming from kind of different backgrounds and perspectives, but we're all working on the same project, which is alchemizing all the density, all the fear and distortion back into love, using the power of our plasmic field of consciousness and our multidimensional self. So here's the context for the ancestral healing. For example, recent client session, a gal in France. She comes from aristocratic lines. We're thrown like 1,000 years back in the power broker kind of transactional relationships of the day. A big miscalculation was made. The family lost a lot of their power. They were stigmatized, branded, labeled, and that didn't just carry in that lifetime. It's followed the line all the way through. Fast forward to today, as we're shifting this and clearing the distortion in that template, the client's like, wow, I've always wondered, why have I had such a fear of failure? Where did this come from? I mean, it's these kinds of acoustic reverberations down the family lines, psycho-spiritual plagues, that have afflicted generation after generation after generation until now, right? My daughter likes to say it ran in the family line until it ran into me. Right? The alchemizers are here. And when that healing of the template for that family line was complete, I heard that was a major healing for the hexagon. Now, the hexagon is what they call France. And then my team showed me, look at the family back 1,000 years ago, and then look at all the people that have descended from that, and look at all the people that were just impacted. Now, this is leveraged multidimensional healing. This is what those of us who came into the system to, put all of our vast expertise of, in my case, certainly restoring harmony and balance in the universe, into play. So rather than individual by individual by individual by individual, we're going to, they're saying now, are going to take your leverage point of everything you're carrying in whatever the family line, and you will invoke these higher states of consciousness like we did. It's not even a state of consciousness. You're invoking this greater part of your multidimensional self as a solution to the issue at hand. So it's a very advanced technological solution, using your multidimensional consciousness in order to solve a problem. Pretty cool. So I invite you to participate in the Higher Alchemy series. It kicked off with a very profound activation, and we got some really good questions and some really good responses. So that, again, I'm being told to emphasize the collective conversation that we're all in, and that I may share something that you then will take and extrapolate and create a completely new solution. And that it's only in the dialogue and the conversation that these types of new solutions can weave themselves into being. So they're asking me now to share an example from this morning where the client was asking about human design and maybe working with the sacral chakra to clear that out so that, manifesting can go a little bit more smoothly. And it was so fascinating because her team was like, you don't need to work through the human vehicle in the way that you think you're limited to. So let's go back to the animal body is full of fear. Generations have been in survival mode, right? We've not had a chance to really evolve this material yet. We're in the process right now. So rather than asking the human form to do your heavy lifting when it comes to manifesting, why not instead use your inner tech of the multidimensional self, find an aspect in another system that has an enormous amount of experience in creation, instantly connected to that being. And what that being was able to show us is that it's not that you have to manifest and create something, thinking and making it happen. It's to create the right or the ideal vibrational conditions, which happen to be love and joy, and then allowing the intelligence of the creation to do the creating. So to break this down, I realize it's a little bit esoteric, but it's kind of inverted from how we think of things. Like it's my child and my business and my, right? Versus what if the major engine of creation is love? And that's what I bring forth for my being, right? Do it with me now. Drop out of your mind into the center here. There we go. And then really, bring that out and then feel that. And let that be the vibrational environment now in which you allow, okay, let's use business, your business to tell you what it needs. You allow your child to tell you what they need. Very different than I'll tell you and I'll make this happen out of the body in its fear patterning, trying to make things happen. So you see the difference in the end result. I think this is some really exciting technology to begin working with. And it's not just healing for healing's sake. It's so that we are changing the material and the foundation of our entire civilization by evolving the base unit of the civilization, which is the individual, which then informs now creating healthier, more harmonic and functional relationships, elevated, and then that can build family, right? I think at some point I was reflecting on how some of the lunch monitors when I was a kid were very unhappy women in a lot of pain. And in the future, I think we will be very careful about who we allow around children so that pain doesn't create more pain, doesn't create, right, the acoustic reverberation, let alone the work we're doing to heal the ways of being, states of being, a lot of depressed, kind of oppressed, limited ideas about what's possible that are carried by the body. So really the trick now, okay, is for your awakened soul, right, your soul that kind of woke up in this body and goes, wait a minute, I'm a soul trying to ride this crazy body, this crazy horse of a human animal, and then to harmonize with the human aspect so that it feels safe, the human body, because it is its kind of own consciousness. It needs reassurance, and to give it more choice, to get it to consider there might be a different way to do things. And then ultimately it's to really begin to bring through the greater source of love that you are, displacing the disharmony in your family line templates. And so for those of us with soul contracts to do this work, this is why so many of us have felt for years that there was something we needed to do. There was something else we should be doing. We weren't sure what it was. And then, depending where you are on that journey, maybe some of you are just waking up to that and kind of going like, I think I'm supposed to do something in the healing arts, but I'm not a healer and I don't, hey, join the club. We didn't all come into healing lineages, A, because there are so few of them on the planet, but B, that's not where the work is needed. The work is needed in all the lineages, all across the planet. That's why we're spread out everywhere. So that inner call, and then for many of you who were in a transformational space of some kind, guess what? It keeps evolving. My work has never stayed the same 1 year to the next. I mean, it just keeps evolving. So this is where we've all been initiated into, and are still being initiated into the unknown, into I don't know. Because if you knew it, it wouldn't be new. It wouldn't be a new construct here. And that's absolutely what we are being tasked with at this time, is to create the mashup, right? It's like, all right, I got in there. I got my hands dirty. I was knee deep in the muck, and I've kind of, I slogged my way through first half of life, kind of bumbling around. I started to remember, I started to piece together, I started to bring in a higher consciousness and perspective and awareness. And now, all the tools are starting to come together and the awareness, and I'm really shifting this and moving it. And I'm also going even deeper in revealing the hidden shadow. The shadow isn't one and done. It's a lifelong process of self-revelation and self-disclosure. And I recommend a lot of love and compassion, because it can be shocking to find out and discover how much wounded motivation you might be sitting on. And I know that for many of us, these past few weeks have been really challenging in terms of just processing and purging and A lot of people have been very tired, a lot of people very sick, a lot of difficult emotions, but that's all good because we don't want to sit on that and carry that forward. So the extent to which you can do this consciously, invite the discomfort in, really be with what wants to be revealed in a loving, compassionate way and integrate that is the way that we will evolve ourselves as a human race and make the world a better place. Not because we did it out there, but because from within here, we're creating harmony in our templates, and that is what is emanating out. So if you look at cymatics, right, and the way that vibration creates harmony or disharmony, this is what we're talking about. So I invite you to join me for Higher Love Alchemy. This is an 8-part series that I'm doing on YouTube Lives on Wednesdays and Sundays now through May 26th at 12 noon Eastern New York, 5 p.m. London time. About an hour. If you want to submit a question beforehand, feel free to leave that even in the comments here, or certainly, while we're doing the live, you can put your comment in there. I am giving away some books and some sessions with me just for fun, and I am currently taking new clients. If that's of interest to you, you can go to my website and find out all the different ways to work with me. I'm really enjoying the intensive, deeper dive. I'm just finding there's so much more benefit and value to that, but there are some meditations and some courses up on the site as well. Please do join in the conversation, leave a comment, an insight below. I love you so much, more every day. My love is growing, and that's the point of the Higher Love series. I can tell it's shifted for me. I will say I woke up this morning and I had some old fear come up, and for the first time I was able to really just right in the moment, it didn't take time, there was no lag, feel all the unconditional love that's always surrounding all of us, and the barrier to that dissolved. And so the fear dissolved, and it was an amazing experience. And I thought, what would it be like to live like this all the time? This is what all the people who are having near-death experiences are experiencing, and then bringing back with them and embodying that. It's not to say we won't have fear. It will always be a part of the human walk. It's just how much fear, for how long, and in what condition or state. So let's do it now. Just bring yourself out of a state of separation and disconnection back into you're completely held, you're completely loved. Yeah, there you go. You're not separate. Yeah, there we go. We think of it as an expansion, but this morning what I really realized is it's a restoration of who we actually are. It's the absence of contraction. What would it be like to normalize that? So ask yourself today, what would love do? And then be that.